Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to TRTA Live. I am excited to be here. I feel like I'm not sick for once, which is great news. And since I am doing the show and producing today, I apologize. I'm going to be looking down at my phone a little bit from time to time, just making sure that all of our setup is done and correct. Really am glad that you're joining me today. It's a big day. It's a big update today. It's an important day in the Texas Legislature. Today is what we call the bill filing deadline, which gives legislators one final day to submit bills that they would like to potentially heard during the legislative session. And that is something that is actually blowing up my phone right now. I have a couple of updates for everybody on specific TRTA bills that we're going to be working on. I have some updates on the Social Security issues that we have been dealing with. And I really think that today's show will go by quickly, but it also will be full of information. Before we get too far into the conversation about everything that's going on, I just want to take one more opportunity to encourage all of you that are still thinking about coming to our TRTA Day at the Capitol on March 26th. There's still time for y'all to make that decision. You can decide on the day of that you just want to come to Austin and be a part of the event. That's perfectly fine with us. We're planning for a lot of our members to show up. As I said in an email that I sent out to our TRTA network earlier this week, we're hoping for some kind of count, which we have over 1,000 folks that have already registered. They will probably be bringing friends. We just want to make sure that we have enough food and ice cream for everyone. Now, there's some other important information about our day at the Capitol that I want to share with everyone, and that is that it is going to be a very busy day at the Texas Legislature next week, or I'm sorry, on March 26th. Extremely busy. And so if you're a TRTA district president, if you're a leader of your local chapter, and you all have major plans for coming to Austin, and you're wondering, what time should I be at the Capitol? Well, I know a lot of you are already scheduling visits with your legislators, taking pictures. That's excellent. I really am glad that you are doing that. We know that our friends at the Texas Realtors Association also is having their day at the Capitol on March 26th as well. It's a big group. If you don't know, if you're not familiar with downtown Austin, the east door of the Capitol is where buses come and drop people off. And you have a lot of other folks that come in through that east door because the state parking garages are on the east side of the Capitol. And we expect it to be a very, very busy day. And so we're sending out information to our leadership, asking them to plan accordingly. I am going to record a video and send to all of our registered attendees. That'll come out sometime next week. I'm going to have some suggestions, tidbits, things that y'all need to do to be ready for that day. It's going to be an exciting day. I promise you, if you're coming, you're going to have a great time. It's going to be a lot of fun. You're going to have a lot of friends. You're going to see a lot of these elected officials. They're excited to see you. As you saw, I did ask our Texas leaders, specifically the Lieutenant Governor, Dan Patrick, and our Texas Speaker, Dustin Burrows, if they would be kind enough to record a short message, how they feel about TRTA Day at the Capitol. I was very honored to get that. I feel like it takes time out of their day, but they're excited. They want to see you all. They have big wins that they want to talk to y'all about. They have ideas that are going on in this legislative session to continue to help retirees. There is always more work going on behind the scenes than what may be visible at any one time. And we've been involved in a lot of that this week. There's clearly, we have our own work that we're trying to do on benefit enhancements, TRS pension fund improvements, TRS funding improvements, healthcare protection, all of that stuff. That's normal business matter stuff that we deal with. But we also have other proposals that have potentially had some kind of impact on TRS. And we've been working very closely with leaders on those. So it's a big show. I really appreciate seeing all of the folks chiming in. You're a lot of good. I'm on looking at Facebook and YouTube. It's great to see a lot of you folks already saying hello. Thank you for doing that. Because I'm by myself today, it's just you and me here. And so if you want to send a question or if you want to send a comment of encouragement, I love them. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Roy Varney, who is my normal partner on these things, he is off today. And so I said, hey, no problem. I got it. And I'm feeling great. I feel excited. Every week we get a little bit closer to our day at the Capitol. And I just am thrilled. I cannot wait to see all of our friends come to Day at the Capitol. All right, so let's get started on the show stuff. I'm gonna touch on the Social Security items first. As many of you know, the checks or the direct deposits are starting to show up. Some people have contacted me and said, hey, I'm hearing a lot of my friends have gotten it. I know that I'm going to get something. I haven't gotten it yet. Remember, there are 3 million people that Social Security Administration is trying to get the money out the door. And they did tell us that it may go through the month of March. So we're not quite halfway through. Tomorrow, we're about halfway through, knowing that there still will be thousands and thousands of folks who are going to get their retroactive repayment checks. And there have been a couple issues that I've been personally involved with following and have been getting a lot of feedback. I've been talking about them on this show. There's no secret here, but I do want to give a big shout out to Senator John Cornyn and Senator Susan Collins. These obviously, we all know John Cornyn. His staff has been receiving emails from me, looking at those, and it's about the retro payments and some Medicare costs that seem to be taken out of these checks. So the first issue, as a lot of you know, I have raised concerns over the Social Security Administration telling our retirees that they may not be eligible for retroactive payment, even though their spouse who would have passed away prior to December 30, on or before December 31st, 2023, that when a retiree went to a local Social Security Administration office prior to the repeal of the GPO and the WEP, we have numerous reports, not just in Texas, but from California and Massachusetts and Illinois and Missouri and all over the country, where the Social Security Administration advisors met with that surviving spouse, that public pensioner who was going to try to collect a portion of their spousal benefit. And the SSA told a similar story to a lot of these people. And that is, don't bother applying. You're not going to get it because your public pension is 2/3 greater than what you might be eligible to receive from your spouse. And so the retiree who showed up in good faith and probably didn't know they were going to get that answer and thought they were going to have to fill out some kind of form, they were really dissuaded from doing that. And the problem that we have now is that the Social Security Administration has communicated back to me on this issue, which I have received an email based on some questions that I have, and I'm going to read a little bit of it, and I'll kind of translate it. It says that the Social Security's policy states the interviewer/adjudicator is responsible for explaining the advantages and disadvantages of filing an application so that the individual can make an informed filing decision. The decision to file belongs solely to the claimant or their proper applicant. So essentially what the Social Security Administration is saying is that they maybe looked at a person's scenario and said, you're not going to get it. If you apply for your spousal benefit, you're not going to get it. And they probably should have then said, but I still think you should apply for it, or if you don't apply for it and the GPO is ever repealed, we're not going to use this day. I mean, it's so crazy to think that in that moment, again, think back just 2 or 3 years ago when the GPO was law of the land, and for 40 years, you had school employee retirees, public servants, firefighters, police officers, state workers, county workers, all of these public workers going to the Social Security Administration office, their spouse has just passed away. The Social Security office person, as I said, for 40 years, the law of the land has been the GPO. And they say, hey, you know what? I see these cases every day. Don't apply because you're not going to get it. There's this thing called the government pension offset. There's no reason for you to apply. Let's go ahead and set up your Medicare. I've looked at all your information. I see that you brought in your marriage certificate. I see that you brought in a death certificate, but you're not going to get it. So don't even bother applying. Now, I wasn't there. Obviously, neither were, some of you were, because this is the conversation that you had. And I've had people tell me in numerous emails, this was standard operating procedure. The rub here is that the Social Security Administration is saying to retirees that even if your spouse passed away in 2015 and you did not file their spousal benefit claim form, they are not going to base your retroactive payment on when you may have become eligible to receive the benefit, but when you file the form. And clearly, the problem that we have with this as an association that represents all of you is that if you don't file that form until the Social Security Administration calls you back because you've set up an appointment to file that form, which they will only allow you to do when you are speaking to them personally. If you don't get a chance to do that until April, it's my understanding that Social Security Administration is going to argue, even though you became eligible in whenever it was before 2020, end of 2023, you're not going to be perceived as eligible until that form is on file. And I do not believe that the Congress or the U.S. Senate or anyone in policy-making side of government was thinking that this scenario was going, to develop, but it has. And TRTA is a powerful organization. We represent almost 100,000 members. I'd sure like to represent over 500,000 members because, that would really be a huge increase in our ability to get things accomplished. But we do a pretty good job. And so we're pulling together our partners and allies from around the country who are sharing a similar story. And so this week I met with people from Senator Susan Collins' office from Maine. She was a longtime advocate for the repeal of the WEP and the GPO. They have heard about this in Maine. I have heard about it in Illinois. I have heard about it here in Texas, clearly, Missouri, California, Louisiana, Colorado. All of these states are having a problem where someone can prove eligibility. My spouse passed away on this day prior to the end of 2023. I have death certificate. I have my marriage certificate. I have the evidence that shows that I went from having my Medicare premium taken out of my spousal benefit to becoming a payor for Medicare. So we've got all of these life qualifying events that very clearly show when a retiree is eligible to start receiving their benefit. It does not to think that a person simply did not file the form because they chose not to. They were pretty much advised, you're not going to get the benefit, don't file the form. And again, I am not blaming the Social Security Administration. You all know that I get to be a relatively passionate representative of your interests. And that's what I do. I want to win for you. But this is not a win or lose scenario. This is a matter of fact, common sense, reality application of the process. And I think that Senator Collins, Senator Cornyn, and some other senators that we have started to get to know or that we've had long-time relationships with in the past will agree that a bureaucratic form is not nearly as important to all of these life-qualifying documented realities that a retiree had to unfortunately endure. We're talking about a spouse passing away, these people may have been together for 50 years. And now we're going to let a form potentially interfere with the retiree being able to get their spousal benefit after 40 years. The GPO is finally gone, and we're going to use an outdated standard operating procedure that doesn't fit the reality of what's going on today to dictate whether or not a retiree is going to be eligible to receive their retroactive benefits. So this is something that I am certainly fighting on. I think that a lot of our members are very interested in this, and it would simply be wrong to allow this to go on. So that's an issue that I'm working on. I shouldn't say it's an issue that we're all working on. We've got a lot of partners around the country, and we're pushing on this. If you have been told that you cannot qualify because you have never filed your form, I first of all, I think we need to do what the Social Security Administration is asked to do, and that is to get a form on file. And so many of you have contacted me and said, hey, I called the Social Security Administration and they have set me up for an appointment to file the form. I definitely think you need to do that. And I would not become argumentative with the person you're dealing with, Social Security. Certainly, you can ask whatever questions you want. We're not here attacking that agency. Listen, it's hard being we all know it's hard being a dedicated public servant. You got people coming at you all the time, not to mention all of the other difficulties and challenges that may go along with that. It's sometimes easy to attack public servants, and I'm not doing that, and I hope you're not perceiving me as doing it. I just think that their policy is wrong for the situation, and I think that the elected officials have the ability to try to correct it, and I think that we should. We're going to push on that as hard as we can. The other issue that I know a lot of you are talking about is that you have received your reimbursement. Great. And that reimbursement may have been X, but it is actually Y because your Medicare premium was taken out of your benefit, your rebate check. And I know there's probably one of my good friends who sent me an email about this earlier this week. And I'm just going to say that her first name may begin with B and last name may begin with D. So if she's listening, she kind of knows who I'm talking to. We have many people that are communicating with us that they have gotten the rebate or the retroactive payment, but it has taken out of it the Medicare premium. We know that you probably have the documentation that shows that in 2024, you already paid the out-of-pocket costs on your Medicare. On the Social Security Administration's website, they seem to kind of talk about some errors that may occur. Because I've received so many issues, so many people talking to me about this, I also put this on Senator Cornyn's and Senator Collins' radar, as well as some of our congressional members, saying that, hey, the problem here is that our retroactive repayment checks have the Medicare premium reduced out of them, and the retiree has maybe already paid that and can prove it. What's the process for getting that money back? That is definitely on the list. If that's affected you, please do not think that we have forgotten about you or that we're not aware of the issue. It is possible that a solution comes sooner than I'd like. That's my fingers crossed. It is also possible that the SSA, again, trying to process 3 million of these folks, benefit repayments, has to come back and deal with this through another process to get your full amount of retro payment restored. If you have been affected by this, please send me some information. Never send anybody your Social Security number, all right? Number one, never send anybody your Social Security number. Okay. But if this is maybe affect you, maybe your retro payment has been reduced, the Medicare premium, please just send me an email at tim@trta.org. I'd love to be able to get a little file of those that I can share with our elected officials and potentially demonstrate to them there's a problem here, and that problem is being affected not only by a few people, but this many people. I'd appreciate that. If you're watching me from out of state, please feel free to send me your contact information. Just a real short email. Hey Tim, I got my retro payment. I think it had the amount of my Medicare premium was reduced off of it. The reason that I know that one of our retirees has more documentable evidence of this is that this member has told me that they've also received not only their rebate check, but also the mailed statement saying, hey, here's your rebate. This is what it's based on. And it had some information in there that, that made them, understand that their Medicare premium was taken out. So that's what we're trying to get more information on. Again, there are tens of thousands of people that watch these videos, and which I appreciate. But I'm doing this so that we can try to identify where there might be some bumps in the road, so that we can work with the Social Security Administration, so that we can work with our colleagues in the Congress to smooth this out. And so that's what we're trying to do. So I'm just going to take a quick peek at comments here. Appreciate all the folks who are posting. Again, my email address is tim at trta.org. You can also send an email to info, that's info, info at trta.org. You all are too nice to me, too nice to me. I have many flaws. One of my flaws is that I get a lot of emails, and they sometimes get lost in everything that's going on. And I don't know. I've lost track of how many, several hundreds of thousands of emails that are in my inbox. But if you send me your information, Tim at TRTA.org, and you say, hey, I think this might have happened to me, would you put me on the list as somebody who might want to know a little bit more about it? Copy it to info at trta.org, because my staff also looks at those. I'm the only one who looks at my own inbox, but if you send it to info at trta.org, then I got somebody else who's helping me track that. So I appreciate that. All right. Oh, Judy Kennedy, I see you're watching. Thank you so much for watching, and a lot of the other folks. So the basic info on the Social Security stuff, we're still seeing a lot of the rebates going on. I am hearing that people are starting to get their first mailed piece of paper, which is the one that says you are about to receive or have received a retro payment. Here's what it is. Here's the information you need to know about it. And as we reported a couple of weeks back, a lot of y'all were going to get your payment long before you ever got that piece of paper. The next thing that is going to happen, and we're getting closer to it, is that we believe by April, the Social Security Administration will have increased the retirees' benefits to the new amount. I get so excited talking about this because it has been so long that we've worked on it. To think that we're able to have a TRTA live show on March 14th at 2:25 in the afternoon, talking about how the repeal of the WEP and the GPO is going to be seen in your new benefits as early as April. It just blows me away. It just blows me away. This is such an amazing accomplishment. And a friend of mine often talks about what we call red letter days. This is a red letter day, baby. I am so happy for all of you who work so hard in our school system or as public servants, and you are now going to start seeing as early as April a new Social Security amount that you will be getting every month for the rest of your life, and it is not going to be reduced by those arbitrary and unfair Social Security provisions called WEP and GPO. So in some ways, it's still sinking in how life-changing this is going to be. So please, if you are one of those folks that are going to start seeing that new benefit increase, I know that this is probably the worst possible time to ask this, but I think a lot about what we have achieved as an organization, as a group. And sometimes when victories happen, people sometimes think, well, we won. Maybe I don't need, maybe I don't need to belong to this organization anymore. That happens so much in the association world. I would venture to guess that a lot of people who run these organizations will tell you that when bad things are happening, membership numbers go up. And when good things happen, membership numbers go down. It's happened for TRTA in the past. And I don't want bad things to happen. I want all of us to just only see the good things occurring. And so my hope is that if you in some way appreciate not only the work that you've done, but all of the TRTA members have done on this issue for all of these years, if you please look at renewing your TRTA dues this year. Here in Texas, it's $35 a year. We encourage our members to join local chapters. Those local chapters all vary a little bit, but I cannot think of any investment. I can't think of any investment that people might have made for $35 a year to see the kind of ROI, return on investment, that membership has yielded like this. And so, I love TRTA. I love our members. I love the fact that we're powerful. I love the fact that people respect and fear us as an organization. And my hope is that people will continue to see the value in belonging, because there are many other hills to climb in the future. And so I'm sorry, I got a little preachy on that, probably because we're opening our membership year very soon, where people can go on and renew their dues. And that's going to happen very, very soon. So if you're thinking about that, please renew your TRTA dues. If you've never been a TRTA member before, I hope that we've been able to show the value as an organization that we bring. And I would love to have you as part of this group. I think there are a lot of other things that are going to happen. And we've got other things happening in a state legislative session. I talked to a retiree this last week who on Friday night called me and said that she did not have Social Security quarters, but she had worked in the Texas schools for 37 years. And her retirement is not a rich retirement benefit. She might have had a few quarters paid into Social Security, but not enough to qualify. She was a lifetime education employee. And she needs, she and many others who served in our Texas schools, who may not have had the quarters enough to earn a Social Security benefit, many of them are still behind in inflation. Inflation, whatever people may say, if the inflation has cooled slightly, it does not mean that prices have gone down. And most of all of our TRS retirees, I'm talking about Texas TRS retirees, are still 30% behind inflation. That their TRS annuities, because we don't have ongoing cost of living adjustments. We did pass a major benefit enhancement this last legislative session, and this session has rolled around, and we have had quite a number of our friends filing bills that potentially would help TRS retirees. And so I know that if you're planning on coming to our TRTA Day at the Capitol, or if you're just interested, I'm going to share some of these bills and the bill authors. We will develop a list and say, thank you to our bill authors. And I don't have all these slides today, but just to give you some idea of who is filing what. And I got to look at my phone, y'all. I'm sorry that I'm going to look down here and try to look at this. But we have HB House Bill 1596, by Representative Plesa. It is relating to a cost of living increase for TRS retirees. We have House Bill 2087 by longtime friend Mando Martinez, state representative. It is also relating to a cost of living adjustment for retirees. TRTA member, retired teacher, and longtime friend of mine, Dr. Alma Allen, has filed a cost of living adjustment bill, an extensive cost of living adjustment bill for TRS retirees. That is House Bill 2163. We have House Bill 2319 by Ana Hernandez, state representative, relating to a cost of living increase. We have a bill that has been filed by my very good friend John Busey. He's a state representative kind of north of me, but in this Williamson County area. House Bill is 3857. This is a really important bill. This bill talks, it would require the teacher retirement system to do a study on how much inflation has affected retirees between every session. I've testified in favor of this bill in the past. Typically, legislators say they are not in favor of these kinds of studies because it takes agency time, agency resources, and so on. But my position is that we have a lot of information about TRS. We know how much money they earn. We know what their investments are. We know how many staff they have. We know what all the staff members are paid. We know what the bonus cycle looks like. We get a lot of information. But the one thing we don't know officially is how retirees have been affected by inflation. And that seems like a pretty important thing if I were a decision maker. And I know that my retirees, as part of their retirement benefits, don't have a COLA, a guaranteed cost of living adjustment. It's probably important to have the legislature get told on a regular basis, inflation has been doing this, and you might have a need to address it. So anyway, that's our friend John Busey who's filed that bill. We have House Bill 4029 by Representative Ryan Guillen relating to some benefits for our TRS law enforcement officers. That's a big issue. Sergio Munoz, 4161, House Bill 4161 to a cost of living increase. We have, here's one by a longtime friend of mine, Steve Toth, House Bill 4319, dealing with military benefits, National Guard, and TRS. So we've got, here's one by Trent Ashby, conducted a study on the feasibility of offering alternative service credit for various folks within TRS. Jose Menendez, who's a longtime friend of ours in the Senate, has filed a COLA bill for TRS retirees. We have a number of these bills. We've got one by Representative Rafael Anchia relating to return to work rules that has been a long time concern for a lot of folks. There's a companion bill in the Senate. My good friend Tan Parker, Senate Bill 2491. There is a number of bills, including several 13th check bills. Representative Berry, I believe, has now filed a 13th check bill for TRS retirees. So today, bill filing deadline. And TRTA is going to be going through all of these bills, making a determination on which ones would be the best for us to put as much support as we can. Some of them may be very expensive. Some of them may have funding connections to them. There's just a lot of work that needs to be done between now and the end of session. And we're going to invest the time in getting that work accomplished. So I did have a direct question from a TRTA member last night saying, hey, what bills have actually been filed? I don't usually start communicating about bills with folks until we get it about this time of the year, the bill filing time. And so that gives us a much better picture of what we have to work with. But just know that TRTA has met with leadership, both in the Senate and in the House. We've laid out our legislative agenda, which is more funding for TRS, possible benefit enhancement for retirees, and fully funding healthcare. That's the message we're going to be talking about as you all come on March 26th. We also are spending a lot of time talking about all of these other proposals that may be that may pass this session. I'm not going to call them good or bad, but they may have some fiscal and actuarial impact on TRS. We have met with folks this week, and it's probably not right for me just to say who they are, but I was going to say significant leaders within the House and the Senate talking about what our concerns are for this issue. So I'm going to make sure that I didn't say something that I shouldn't have said, because my phone is now getting a bunch of text messages. I think we're okay. I'm going to check the comments again real quick. Okay, so I'm going to show this one real quick. This is an important question. My wife and I would like to know how much, I'm sorry, I got to kind of look past my camera, would pay for income tax. Basically, it's a question about, we've got this extra income, and will there be a tax penalty? I know in the news, a lot of people have talked about the idea that Social Security benefits will be not taxable. That is not the law of the land right now. So I would suggest that everyone who is receiving some of these benefit increases, because the Social Security Administration has sent you a retro payment and it may have bumped your income, probably want to talk to your tax filer, probably want to talk to your CPA, might want to talk to your financial planner. It is very likely that your income for this calendar year is higher if you've received one of these retro payments, and it might be a little higher going forward, because again, starting in April, fingers crossed, starting in April, y'all are going to, those of you who are eligible now to get your full Social Security benefits, that income is going to go up, and so you might want to talk about planning for that. In Texas, we've had a little more time and experience with this, because we have seen, I think, 3 or 4 supplemental checks or stipends or 13th checks that have been paid to retirees over the last 20 years. And anytime one of those stipends or supplemental checks or 13th checks, one of those gets paid out, it raises the income for that retiree. And sometimes it raises enough to bring them up to the next income tax bracket. And they need to hold a little back for what the tax penalty may be. I'll say it again. I am not an attorney. I am not a CPA. I'm not a tax specialist. I've done enough and listened to enough people to know that the tax person, is going to want to collect their income tax on this. So it's a great question, Les. And my best advice to everyone getting a retro payment is to consult a tax specialist, let them know about this, and then seek out how that might affect you when you file for taxes after this calendar year is over. Okay. So then there's a question. I'm going to show this one. Carol is saying, how do we know if Medicare payments or taxes were taken out? I got the retro payment, but the mailed statement did not tell me if the amount was monthly amount of receipt of tax benefits. So I think that the best way to know, I'm going to look at that comment again. See, the mailed statement did not tell me if the amount sent or the monthly amount I will receive has been taxed. Well, on the tax side of it, I don't believe they're taking taxes out of that. Again, I'm not a tax expert. I'll ask some of my friends on the other side when this is over, and I'll try to start with that next time. But I would consult your tax specialist and tell them that you're getting this income and you'd like to know how that might affect your income going forward and what your tax situation may be. As far as whether or not the Medicare payment was taken out of your retro payment, my understanding from some of the folks who've communicated to me about this, they are saying that it may have mentioned it on the document. Now, remember, there are 2 issues here. The first issue is your retro payment, which may have already been deposited, and you're waiting on your statement to come from the Social Security Administration that's explaining, here's the retro payment, this is the amount that it was, and this is anything that they may have taken out of it. Your other issue going forward is, we hope starting in April, you're going to have a new Social Security amount that is going to be different, higher than what you've been getting, and in some cases significantly higher. And so, going forward, that may have a taxable penalty, paying taxes because of a higher income. And so, on the first case, and knowing whether or not your retro payment may have been taken out, the best answer I have on that is if your statement suggests that it did, or if when you get to April and you look at what your new amount is. So if you were getting $40 and now you're getting $400 a month, and the Social Security Administration did the retro payment starting January 1st, 2024 through February of 2025. So 14 months. One way to look at that would, back of the envelope math would be to take what your new amount is, multiply that by 14 if you were eligible to get all 14 of those months. So you were WEP'd or GPO'd prior to December 31st, 2023, you would have been eligible for all of those months. So that new amount times 14, and if your rebate was less than that in some way, then I would probably contact the Social Security Administration and say, hey, can we walk through those numbers so that I know that I did not get my Medicare taken out if I already paid it. I would encourage everyone who's thinking about this issue to ensure that you would have the documentation ready to show that you might have made those Medicare payments. A lot of people who were getting WEP'd or who got GPO'd, they lost the ability to have that Medicare premium amount taken out of their Social Security. It wasn't enough to cover that Medicare premium. And so they became a payor to Medicare for that premium. And so that's the thing that we're trying to get a better handle on. It's a lot of information. There's a lot of stuff that's happening. Deposits are occurring, letters are coming out. The new amount is going to start in April. It's going to take a little time to kind of sort through the information and then potentially work backward with Social Security to make sure that you got the full payment. The most important group of people to be contacting the Social Security Administration right now are those people who have never filed for their spousal benefit and need to get that filing done and on record. A lot of the other questions may need to be pushed into April and beyond when you have all of that information in front of you so that you can talk to a Social Security Administration official. And remember, we got all of these baby boomers that are retiring and qualifying for Social Security every day. So that's an issue. And then you've got 3 million public workers whose benefits are getting recalculated. That's a big issue for Social Security. They have asked us to focus in on the retirees who probably who were GPO'd or never filed for their spousal benefit as the folks who should be the ones contacting SSA right now. Everybody else, if you're already getting your Social Security, if you're already on file with getting something, even though you've been WEP'd and you're going to get your new amount, you've gotten your check, you've got questions on it. I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm just telling you the Social Security Administration said, hey, can you give us a little time to sort through this and maybe contact us late April to try to sort that out. So that's the information that we've been hearing. All right. I'm going to take a look at comments again. Here's a question or a statement from Bonnie. My email address is Tim, just like my name, that's TIM at TRTA.org. Tim at TRTA.org. I would appreciate it that if you're sending an email there, which again, I'm the person who reads those, but I get many emails, which I love. I love it. But at the same time, I don't want to get your email, Bonnie, and then I got 20 emails that have come in front of it and I don't see it for some reason. So info at TRTA.org. So if you're sending me something and you want me to kind of look into it, also copy that to info at TRTA.org. That's a great question. Okay. Just taking a look at some other comments. Been taken out of retro pay. Yeah, I think, I just think that a lot of our folks, and I'm just shooting through comments here, that a lot of folks, have been told they're not going to get their retro payment. And that is potentially a policy problem that we at TRTA and other colleagues around the country are going to have to work on. If you're from out of state, and if you're one of these people who said, "Hey, I tried to file my benefit for my spousal benefit, but when I went to the Social Security Administration 10 years ago, they told me not to apply because I wouldn't get it. And now today they're telling me they don't have a file on record and I'm not going to get a retro payment because I won't be able to file for my benefit until April or May when they call me back and I'm on that schedule." Send me that information. Never send me your Social Security number. Never, ever, ever. So just send me who you are. What if you're one of those folks, and if you've got a question or comment, it will help me talk to your senator, pass it on to my friends in your state, and try to get more support. I think our elected officials can fix this, and it could mean thousands of dollars in your pocket. So please, let's keep that information coming. Okay. I will try. So Sheila is saying, "Hey, put your comment, put your info." All right, so I'm going to try trta.org. Let's see if that works. Now, again, y'all, I'm doing this by myself today, so hopefully that did something. And then I'm going to post info@trta.org. Okay. I think that I'm just going to check comments. I think that may be enough show for today. It's again another 47 minutes long. It's a big issue, y'all. There's a lot of things that are happening right now. There's a lot of activity. I'd love for you to renew your dues and become or join TRTA. If you're watching from out of state, I promise you there's probably a retired teacher organization in your state. If you want to know who they are, I'm happy to try to connect you to them. But if you are here in Texas and you've never joined our organization, please consider joining us. We have a lot of issues that are going to be coming up. I'd love to win more for our retirees in the Texas Legislature. Only about half or less than half of all TRS retirees are going to qualify for this Social Security stuff because they have the quarters or they're married to somebody who did or whatever those circumstances are. But that leaves half or more of all our TRS retirees that are not going to benefit in any way. And in 20 years, most of those folks have only ever received one cost of living adjustment. So nothing's getting cheaper, and retiree benefits are not going up as fast as things are getting expensive. So if you care about your fellow retirees, and I know you do, please consider joining TRTA, renewing your dues, and being a part of us. So one more quick look at comments. I think the rest of these I'm going to just read offline and be ready to talk about any of this or respond to them over the week. I really do appreciate all of you tuning in. Thank you so much. Have an excellent Friday. And if you're an active teacher and you're going on spring break, enjoy your spring break. My wife certainly will. And so appreciate all that you're doing. Y'all have a great Friday afternoon. Talk to you later.